Hi, welcome back. This is the Bit-Mage. This is SAS X12, Serendipity as a Service. Today, we're going to talk about unknown unknowns. So, usually knowledge in itself is a pretty philosophically loaded term. The boundaries between knowledge, wisdom, ignorance, all of them, all venture into philosophical domains. And one quite interesting aspect that you're sort of unknown about, you're usually unknown about until you sort of grow old, until you make some mistakes. So the most obvious way one learns the idea, the abstraction of an unknown is early on when they're very ambitious in life and they take on projects under the guise of they'll be able to learn anything on the fly very quickly. But then when they get into the project, the amount of unknowns that exist, that pop up from time to time, are just too immense, and it just triggers a chain reaction of unknown unknowns. So that is probably everyone's first exposure to the idea of an unknown. It's to be aware of it is a very powerful tooling in your cognitive infrastructure, because it helps you plan your timelines and your deadlines better. It helps you structure your efforts better. It helps you understand the idea of risk. Everything cannot be modeled, and probabilities as well mostly fail. This is the asymmetric upside or downside when we talk about the unknown unknowns. So what can you do with this concept? How can you play around with it? How can you use it for yourself? How can you be aware of it? The most obvious way from the get-go is try and be prepared. Try and be Batman. Try and have a plan for everything. Try and have contingency plans for everything. That is a very fun way of living, but it's also probably a very demanding way. I mean, it's demanding in a good way to have contingency plans for everything, but then a lot of us are bound by the usual constructs of life, social constraints, work constraints, your physicality. You probably cannot mentally work all night and work all day, and I mean, you're not Batman yet. Of course, if we dedicate ourselves to it, we probably could be, but then not yet. So unknown unknowns. So the idea of knowing everything is sort of out of the picture. To have contingency plans for everything is sort of out of the picture. But to have generic reaction strategies and generic contingency plans, as to if you divide whatever happens into classes or categories, or let's say there's like a category 5 hurricane or something. So categories of every hurricane is going to be different. The way it presents itself, its geographic implications on how it presents itself. But then you still can distribute it into categories. So if you can triage your responses, engineer your responses based on categories, that is one way of dealing with uncertainty. Another way of dealing with uncertainty is just being explorative, having an explorative part in your day. Rather than just working towards a mission all the time, or having projects with a definite goal all the time, have one auxiliary project, sort of a sidecar project. The idea of a sidecar project that is sort of very exploratory in nature in that domain. So that helps you. And plus, today you have a whole bunch of sources to just explore the idea of an unknown. Whenever you say initiate a project, a sidecar project for it, like an unknown project, exploring the unknown unknowns. You just be browsing on the internet, reading research papers that are recent for that, probably not too related to your current work. But then what you could do is keep a tagged track as to certain aspects of your work, and whenever a new paper comes in, you could apply, you could sort of extrapolate the application of that paper on this, the intellectual projection of that paper onto the domain you're working on. So having a certain part of your day dedicated to that sort of stuff is a nice practice. It's a nice practice to hedge your risk, to understand uncertainty, risk in a daily context, not a financial context. A financial context is mathematical models and stuff. That's going to be different. But then in your day to day, and to understand the concept of risk and the idea of unknown unknowns is a pretty. It encourages a peaceful way of life. It encourages you to handle uncertainties, going off the track, getting off the track, getting derailed, sort of in a better manner. It also is a nice way to not surprise yourself when you don't want to be surprised. So you will never be able to completely predict the future, but then you can always convince yourself that you know the category, you know the generic probability distribution of the future in the larger context. In a more generic context, you just have to pick up the signal from the future. You don't need to worry about the noise. The future's distribution, probabilistic distribution in terms of events. You could probably get in terms of set theory. If there's a set of all of the events that the future could unroll into, an event being described in a very abstract manner, an event being the context that the future evolves into, there's a set based on all possible events that could unroll, and the probability distribution to those, to have equivalence classes for those sets, is a powerful idea you can explore. So then this concept of unknown unknowns, if you start, one of my videos is based on language. I think it's just check out the video language. It's probably SAS X10 or 11, 10 or 11. It's based on language. So one particular thing that I mentioned is the benefit of naming abstractions. So if you build a language around the concept of unknown unknowns, you start categorizing them, you start having your own terminology around the kind of domains and around the kind of concepts that you're exploring in the context of seeing an unknown in the moment. You could probably start having a framework to deal with them in the moment. You cannot explicitly prepare for any of these, but then you could start engineering your own frameworks, and this gets us started with engineering your own cognitive infrastructure. When I say engineering cognitive infrastructure, it means this amalgamation of tools, tactics, and your psyche, engineering your psyche around dealing with stuff in a generic manner. It's applicable everywhere, plus extractable in a generic manner, so that you can remember to apply it anywhere. So you got protocols, you got I usually like the idea of world building. So world building in the sense, you might like to tweak your language based on what sort of domain excites you the most. You might use historic war terminology if you're into the kind of let's say Sun Tzu sort of stuff, the art of war kind of stuff. You could use that sort of terminology, or you could use modern day warfare tactics, recon, that sort of stuff, that sort of terminology. That's one way. Or you could sort of be a little delusional, and why not use a particular universe? Why not Lord of the Rings or Star Wars? I personally like Star Wars. So Star Wars, that's a universe is another universe that you could use, being a Jedi or a Sith, or understanding the Force, or conveying or the philosophy of the Mandalorian. So try, if you sort of latch on to a particular world pretty easily, you could also leverage that to attach abstractions, or video games. Video games are also a fun way to sort of do stuff. God of War is a pretty amazing one. That the lore related to that also, you could leverage abstractions from that too. What I'm saying is, try and categorize your unknown unknowns into analogies whenever you see something new, based on whatever story you relate to the most. So that is one implicit reason that I consume fiction, movies, books. I do like watching movies. I don't read fiction books a lot. I read a lot of non-fiction, but then a lot of fiction movies. Stories are a very immersive way to sort of deliver the idea of dealing with a scenario. I mean, like how, okay, there's a scene in Infinity Wars Peter, where Peter Parker, Tom Holland, they're describing, they're strategizing a plan. They're in a spaceship, and Doctor Strange has been captured, I believe. Not Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange has been captured. So one of them is captured, and there's this one of Thanos's teammates, so to say, or subordinates, and Peter suggests the idea of have you seen the movie Aliens or Predator? I don't know which one right now. And the idea of busting a spaceship to generate sort of a sink for the fluid in the spaceship, so that the subordinate would be ejected out. That sort of strategy. So it's a very powerful way. So stories are a very powerful way to immediately convey strategies. Now, and plus they're enjoyable. So if both of us watch the same story, let's say we've grown up watching, I mean, a lot of you guys must have seen, of course you must have seen the Dark Knight trilogy, or if you're seeing this sort of stuff, you'll also see the Matrix. Let's say I wanted to convey to you what is going on in my mind very rapidly. I don't need to phrase it piece by piece. If I have the idea of a story, of a commonly watched story with me, so that is a different sort of language that we're dealing with then. So you could relate yourself to characters, you could play parts, you could play roles, then you could draw quick analogies. So I mean, I don't know, you could sort of describe if you're sort of not mentally healthy, or if you're not in the right head state right now, you want to describe it to a therapist, you could say you're in the phase of I don't know, turning into Darth Vader from Anakin Skywalker. You're Anakin right now, but then you're slowly turning into Vader. That's one way of, say, giving a story index. I don't know if any therapist talks in terms of Star Wars terminology, but then that is a good therapist to have. If you do have one like that, don't leave him or her. So to convey something that oh, by the way, I'm wearing a Vader t-shirt right now. So I'm wearing a Vader t-shirt right now. So all right. So the idea of conveying scenarios in the form of stories, or protocols in the form of stories, serve as a quick index into an action plan. I mean, let's say if you one quick way is, let's say if someone's pretty down in their life, and they feel sort of trapped, but then the way they want to express their emotions is pretty twisted. But let's say you remember the scene when Bruce has been pitted down into the prison, the pits, at in the last movie, The Dark Knight Rises, where Bane is sort of has taken over Gotham and has it held hostage. So the way Bruce feels in the pit, in the prison, is a way you could sort of express how you might be feeling in the moment. A lot of people will relate with that because it's a very well expressed story by Nolan, of course. I mean, Nolan, good stuff. But so the idea of using stories, movies, fiction to quickly convey strategies or your state of mind or context to relevant people is sort of a language in itself. You could get into Harry Potter, or I don't know, if you're into some sort of a sport, you've seen strategies and stuff. So what is the point of all of this? What I'm saying is, if you're working in a team, if you probably have a team that you're working with, it's probably a good idea to consume stories together. Uh, if you're leading a large organization, it's probably a nice idea to have certain stories that everyone is aware of, not in a forced manner, but more in a natural, casual manner, uh, because it helps you serve as a symbolic index into different strategies. So, for instance, if you live in India, Ramayana and Mahabharata, sort of one of those two symbolic indices that one could leverage pretty quickly. If you just name a character and you sort of structure protocols around it, or let's say if you try and convey a message around it, if you quote someone, the context is immediately understood. The context is immediately conveyed uh, in a very dense manner. So that's super dense encoding, because you every human is sort of carrying that. A lot of humans are carrying that context with them. You just need a trigger. You don't need to convey everything. So the power of stories like that is immense. Let's say if there was an alien invasion sometime, zombie apocalypse. I like to imagine having a zombie apocalypse from time to time, how I'll prepare and stuff. So the way you deal with things, watch video games. I mean, Days Gone is one of my favorite video games. Uh, how you strategize stuff, to have strategies like that, uh, to work with indices like that, symbolic indices, uh, is fun. They give a purpose to to an unknown. I mean, there's Days Gone, then there's The Last of Us. Uh, they sort of help you categorize. They sort of help you categorize any unknown that you might experience. Uh, yeah, in a more, because we've imagined stuff. Human imagination is sort of a very very good tooling to sort of help 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 deal with uncertain futures. A lot of science fiction is awesome. It also leads innovation, but then it's also helping us into engineer strategies in case something goes wrong. So that's sort of human imagination, and to convey it in the form of a storytelling, consuming stories, therefore, is awesome. Yeah. So to write stories is a very nice way to symbolically index a whole bunch of context into a large number of humans at the same time. So in itself, making movies, directors, writers, songwriters who convey context in such a densely packed manner and such a rememberable manner, they're sort of helping you prepare for future uncertainties, strategies. Because if you're sort of watching them in an aware manner, you could just convey your strategies in a very symbolically, semantically dense manner right away. So yeah, I'm personally a Star Wars guy. Yeah. uh, yeah. So that idea of moving on from an Anakin Skywalker to a Darth Vader is, or yeah, to sort of live like the Mandalorian. Those sort of things a lot of people will relate to pretty quickly. It connects a lot of people, and cognitive infrastructure cannot just be for a single human. As organisms, we will need to collaborate to sort of build better things. Just one person doing everything, different things at a time, is not going to be the most optimal way of doing things. So collaboration is necessary. And one way, if you're dealing with a whole bunch of unknown unknowns, is to enjoy strategizing. And one way of enjoying strategizing is to consume good stories, Batman being one of them. The idea of being prepared and just ready and just going on, even if that sort of stuff. So yeah, stories are fairly powerful, and if your team is consuming the same stories as you on a larger scale, you have a very efficient way of indexing and communicating things. Yeah, so probably every kid my age, I'm 25 right now. Every kid my age has grown up with Harry Potter books and movies. So if you just convey to someone that he's probably just like a Slytherin or she's like a Hufflepuff, you immediately convey the personality of that person without even having to say a lot of things. So that sort of index, yeah. I mean, if you I don't know, if you're describing a professor and you see such a Snape, yeah, it's such an easy and convenient and rapid manner to convey a lot of things, a whole bunch of context, to set the mood in real life conversations. So getting back to the idea of unknown unknowns, when you do encounter a whole bunch of unknown unknowns, first of all, doing the first strategy that we discussed is having sidecar missions to your main missions. Your main mission being a certain definitive objective, and your sidecar mission being analyzing the effect of novel research trajectories onto your current mission. From time to time, probably allocate a certain percentage of your efforts to that. Your second strategy that I discussed is, if you're working in teams, having stories that you enjoy in common, in a common setting, all together. So that helps you quickly encode strategies and convey context. So whenever you say encounter a new issue, or let's say a new unknown unknown, a new calamity, and intellectual calamity, and if you know the same stories, you could quickly act on it. So that dense encoding of context based on stories, on music, to put a whole nation into a certain mood. I don't know. Okay, let's see. If to socially engineer the masses at scale. That's what concerts are. Mentally controlling the masses at one go. Music is another very good, I don't know, inexplicable form of controlling how the mind feels. You just can't help it feeling a certain way when a certain sort of music plays. It's beyond your control. I mean, this sort of stuff is also what I'm exploring. I'm trying to understand it better, trying to understand music better, trying to understand stories better. So they're sort of tools to control the masses. Look at concerts, look at good movies that sort of inject an idea into the mind that could very easily be triggered later on. So these sort of things, this global cognitive infrastructure, movies, music, video games. If there is a zombie apocalypse, definitely the people who've played the games like Days Gone or Last of Us, or watched movies around that, they're definitely gonna have a better response than your average 5-year-old or 6-year-old. Or let's say just an average 25-year-old who hasn't watched those movies, because we are just better versed with the language thanks to some humans' imagination and the art of storytelling. So this idea of storytelling, of how music exactly controls you, how music exactly, I don't actually know how to convey the effect of music, but I am exploring that personally. Uh, how stories, music in general help you control masses, help you control, sort of orchestrate the global cognitive infrastructure as a whole, to get people synchronized towards an idea pretty quickly. I mean, I say a word and everyone's thinking the same thing right away. That is such a powerful thing. That is extremely powerful if you yeah, try and think about it a little more. It's like treating the human mind as an instrument, the global cognitive infrastructure, global collection of human minds as an instrument that you could synchronize and control with the words that you say. I mean, right now, uh, I can't obviously understand what your mind, the current state of your mind right now, the exact state of your mind right now. But then when I do say certain words, I can definitely have some assurances as to where it is moving. So let's say I say Yoda right now. So it invokes a certain context, a certain way of hearing things, a certain way of speaking things. I mean, you, based on how much detail you've gotten into or what your age is, you might think of the older Yoda, uh, who talks like this. I talk, or you might think of the baby Yoda from the Mandalorian. So although there is variation in what is conveyed, but then there is context that has been densely encoded. So the strategy of having stories to densely encode context and convey it pretty immediately, and yeah, to have strategies to convey this context with your teams in such a dense manner is amazing. It's like playing instruments. Social engineering is one thing, but then yeah, societal music is societal cognitive music is probably another. Societal cognitive rhythms, I think. I don't know. In indices, databases, I don't know what to say. All right, and another thing that I think we can move on to the final topic, final strategy to sort of deal with unknown unknowns is probably don't overestimate what you can do. Uh, yeah, I mean, I personally have the tendency to bite off more than I can chew. Uh, I do have that tendency, so I mean, there's no shame in it. It is what it is. But over time, as you fail more and more to meet your deadlines, your personal deadlines, goals, as you understand there's so much more to life than what you had charted out, how you'd strategized. You can try to be Batman all you want, but then you'll probably still face a lot of uncertainties and your contingency plans will fail. So clock in as many experiences as you can like that, and yeah, you'd probably learn how to deal with them better. So this is the aspect that is not conveyable by by theory. So that's where experience and theory diverge. The idea of having an experience is that you have learned an intuitive way of thinking that you cannot convey in words. So it either means two things. It means one thing. Uh, there is a disparity between what you can feel, what you can express, there is a disparity between what you can experience, what you can feel, and what the language you're choosing to use can convey. So that either means probably what you're feeling, break it down into smaller constituents and try framing that, or try and build better languages around it. That's where the idea of jargons come in, uh, to tag larger abstractions as single words to make new words, so that when you sort of want to convey or encode context pretty quickly, you could just use a jargon. Uh, yeah, yeah. So build your languages, get into good stories, and try and be Batman. Yeah, just prepare, just learn a lot. Those nice three things to sort of deal with unknown unknowns. Uh, thanks. This was Serendipity as a Service X12, and this was the Bit-Mage. So I have my technical explorations going on at the bitmage.com. Do check them out. And at conware.com, I explore my philosophical ramblings and serendipity, as you just witnessed. As you just witnessed. Uh, I have daily videos, so yeah, do tune in. Do tune in if you liked what you heard today. If you find these ideas valuable, I try and be relatable and novel at the same time. I try and extract novelty out of what you already relate with. I try and give them a new perspective. So thanks for tuning in. If you do believe in that, if you do enjoy that, do subscribe and do check out our partners as well, the Bitmage. See you in the next one.